Good morning, everyone. I'm Heather Hall. I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at JumpStart. Just a quick background for you. JumpStart is a nonprofit venture development organization that supports diverse and ambitious entrepreneurs. We're here to help communities. We're supported by the Ohio Third Frontier program. A real quick background on structure. We're going to round out our COVID-19 series this morning by talking with 5 awesome entrepreneurs about what comes next for them as we move forward in 2020. Consider this, like a group of friends hanging around, having a cup of coffee and chatting. The entrepreneurs participating today span a host of different industries, business stages, and backgrounds. The one consistency is that they've all embraced the risks and uncertainty of starting their own business. We joke around that they might be a little crazy for doing so, but there's not a shy one here, so let's dig right in. I'm going to go around the horn based on who I see. So batting order is Amy, Josh, Val, Gordon, and Waverly. Amy, you're up first.
So I'm Amy Husted, co-founder of CoMay. CoMay is an app that allows parents to swap free babysitting with each other, taking the traditional babysitting co-op, putting it into modern day technology. We were acquired last year by Wana Family Network, and I'm now working for them as their chief marketing officer.
Good morning. I'm Josh Torres. I'm an entrepreneur and co-founder of Chamber Life Technologies. It's a technology app for chambers of commerce nonprofits. Also a restaurateur, a franchisee with the Sbarro New York style pizzeria and the subway system.
Val.
Hi, my name is Valerie Mayan. I'm the owner and founder of Yellow Cake Shop. We are a women's local handmade clothing company. We've been in business for a little over 10 years, and we've just recently shifted to face mass production.
Gordon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gordon Daly. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Boxcast, and we help organizations live stream their events to the people that can't be at them, which is something that a lot of organizations are trying to figure out how to do now, and we're happy to be there to help them do that.
And Waverly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Waverly Willis, Cleveland's favorite barber. I'm the owner of Urban Cuts Barbershop, where there's one shop, 2 locations, open 7 days a week, voted and ranked Cleveland's best barbershop for 3 years now.
Close it out with the hype man.
Yes.
So before we can dig in about what comes next, we need to talk a little bit about what the last couple of months have been like. It's been obviously crazy. You guys have all had very different things going on, responding in different ways, but you've all found something impactful out of it. So to lead off, Gordon, would love to hear a little bit from you about what's gone on with Boxcast. You've been on a tear, a lot going on. Would love to hear what it's been like and how you've addressed the demand.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the opportunity. It is a little bit odd to have a business that's probably helped more than hurt, certainly right now. But what we at Boxcast have kind of found ourselves in a situation of is just being there for what people need the most right now, and that's really why we built the company in the first place, is to help organize. We've always felt that every event that is happening live should be streamed live. And so it's a perfect opportunity for us. It's been a tremendous increase in demand, which has required our team to stretch a lot. So, I'm very thankful that the employees that we have, maybe because they are used to living in a crazy startup world, we're able to accommodate and to stretch a little bit more, just filling in for each other, helping us to just survive, whatever was thrown at us. But once you got past that first inrush, it's been more of a function of how you're going to communicate and work together and coordinate just the team atmosphere. And what I found is that has helped a lot to reassure the team is just to remind them of, why it is that we exist, because this is exactly why we exist. We exist to help connect people when they can't be together. And oddly enough, we found that that's the attention we needed to have on ourselves. So we try to meet very regularly, and whether it's weekly for just touch base meetings, virtual all hands meetings for product strategy sessions, and a lot of virtual happy hours, I think, has been kind of a fun part of the event, which can be more reassuring than we ever thought it would be.
We're going to come back to that because you guys are an interesting model in working remote. You were doing this before, but I want to get around the horn before we hit that. Waverly, contrast to Gordon, you're a very different beast in a lot of ways, all good, but you're a
Right.
service business. So life's been on hold for you. Doors opened back up last week. How have you managed the downtime? How have you stayed in touch with customers? How have you gotten them comfortable coming back in? Tell us a little bit about what, not even the last 8 weeks, but last 3 or 4 weeks, what have they been like?
The last 4 weeks, I'm not a real big technology guy, and so I've had several crash courses in technology. I think I know Zoom in and out now, where that wasn't the case before. As far as keeping in contact with the clientele, not just my personal clientele, but the clientele at Urban Cuts Barbershop, we've been going real hard on all of our social media. I've been doing some virtual haircuts that, I've learned how to lie very well and tell people that their haircut looks good. Hope they're not watching right now. At any rate, doing virtual haircuts, and that's just really to keep in contact with the client. A lot of our clients that were are working, or we offered them free haircuts once we came back into business if they were on the front line. So the people that's driving the RTA or stocking the shelves at the grocery store, things of that nature, we told them that we would give them free haircuts once we open back up. So when we opened back up last Friday, it was like Christmas, Easter, and New Year's all wrapped up in one. It was crazy at both of my locations, and they're still on fire right now. So and I've also reached out to other entrepreneurs that weren't able to get any funding because of the way that their businesses were structured. A lot of people on the back end with small businesses like mine, like a barbershop, they don't do their due diligence and crossing all their T's and dotting their I's on the back end on the paperwork. So a lot of people have had some hard lessons learned through this process. So I'm still coaching and mentoring young people on, just the basics of forming an LLC versus an S Corp, things of that nature. So it's very disheartening. Some people are actually going to have to just wipe the slate clean and start all over again. But again, it's a hard lesson learned.
Val, you and I have talked a bit behind the scenes, and it's been fun to watch you go. Now I'm going to admit bias. Yellow Cake makes great outerwear and accessories. I kind of am a junkie, but you did an interesting swivel. I'm not going to call it a pivot. You did an interesting swivel in that you went really hard on making face masks and are really plowing ahead there. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what that's meant for you over the past 8 to 10 weeks.
Sure. For us, it wasn't really something we intended to do full time or long term. It was really a happy accident, I would say. We started doing it because people were asking about, or people started making masks, and we saw that Christian Siriano was making them and donating them, and there was a lot of requests for masks by hospitals and nonprofits and healthcare and whoever. And we just figured, hey, let's contribute because we can, and we're not doing anything right now. So our initial thought process was just to donate all the masks that we were making. And we put up a post on Facebook letting people know that we were going to start making some masks, and we were going to donate the first 500 to 1,000 that we made. And the response was just overwhelming. I mean, within an hour, we got about, 75 requests from different organizations that needed anywhere from 5 masks to 1,500 masks. And we were kind of like, whoa, we were not prepared for that. And we also weren't capable of donating that many masks just because we don't have that kind of money. We need to pay fair labor, we need to buy supplies, and there was a lot that went into production of high volume. So at the onset, we were just getting money from random people that saw the post were sending us money on Venmo and on PayPal, and we were able to get a couple of donations, maybe like $3,000 or $4,000 in donations just by people that wanted to help without even asking. And once we exhausted those funds for the masks we were donating, we decided to maybe start selling them, and we put them on our website. A couple of our other, our sweatshirts and our T-shirts that we were selling to the food bank. And the first few weeks were really slow going. And then once DeWine put out that notice about, people needing to wear masks and the precautions and the effects and, the protocol, it just blew up, and it was like we were getting thousands of requests a day, not just from healthcare or essential businesses, but the general public. So we decided to open it up to the public and let them purchase masks as well. And we had a buy one donate one program. We started getting calls from big companies like Dave's Supermarket, the RTA, Lutheran Ministries homeless shelters. So so we really didn't expect that, but we kind of just decided like, hey, this is where we're needed. This is where we should focus, because right now people are not buying handmade women's luxury clothing, or they're at least not needing it really yet, because a lot of people are just gonna be wearing sweatshirts and pajamas all day, but they do need masks. So we just, we did our research. We worked with Case Western Reserve on developing the most effective pattern and design and prototypes. And yeah, to date, we've made 25,500 masks in 8 weeks. And we've donated about 5,000 of those masks, and we've sold the rest. And we've done a lot in a short time. And we were able to shift just by putting out a call for more sewers each week. I mean, I started with 5 sewers and now I have 35. So it's really cool and interesting to see how just by being nimble and acting quickly and kind of just responding to a call to action really worked out. It's been a unique experience, and we're able to provide income for men and women who can sew safely from their homes.
Josh, okay, so we were transparency. We were doing a little prep the other day, and I'd never met Josh before, and as we're talking, I jokingly said he's the man who doesn't sleep because he's got his fingers in a million different things. One of the things that I love and appreciate about the conversation with Josh is through that all, he's a mentor. He's helping other companies. He's really helping them think through what this means to them, not just what it means to him. So through all of this, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're taking care of other people too. How has that had an impact on you from both sides of the equation, as a mentor as an entrepreneur? And how have you balanced that?
So yeah, that's absolutely right. I spend a lot of time with businesses. I have a Chamber of Commerce background of 17 years. I have a CEO position here in Northwest Ohio with 3 chambers, and through that, we've been able to help chamber members grow. We've been helping our community grow. We run an accelerator in our market over there that JumpStart has helped us get started with. And quite honestly, it's all about letting business owners know they're not alone. No matter what stage of business they're in, no matter where they're at, we all been there. We're going to have a crunch. We're going to have a cash crunch, but maybe at a different level, or maybe at a different stage of business. So it's really taking this 0 to 1 approach that I call it, to where I'm all about the vertical intensive progress that needs to be made, about how we do new things, and then how we don't stay stagnant and maybe horizontal line. I'm all about the uptick and making sure that our business owners understand that, particularly with our business model canvases. Many of the entrepreneurs that we mentor are prepared and positioned with their business model canvases. They're absolutely in a disarray of, do I pivot? Do I swivel, as Heather said? What do we do with that? So yesterday, we spent a lot of time trying to understand how to reposition some of those businesses. We continue to tell them they've got to focus on their customer segments. They got to make sure they've got more than one customer segment to lean on, especially this time, now. And then how are they leveraging the ability to reach those customers? And then when you ask me more about, how do I balance all this, juggle all this besides a fantastic wife, this didn't all start a year or two ago. I started very early on in my teens wanting to be an entrepreneur, in the Subway business at 15, in the franchise business in my early 20s. So all these things have evolved over time, and I've learned to build multiple streams of revenue. Because of that, I've been able to be successful and have mentors around me, and have programs like JumpStart to support me and my startups. But at the same time, the best thing that I can learn is from others. You can read it in a book, but until you actually apply it and actually go out there and do it, it's a whole different thing. And the way I keep organized, I'll share this really quick. I'm a bullet journal enthusiast, productivity ninja, I call it. So I do a lot with bullet journal. I do a lot of helping entrepreneurs balance their productivity. I use Notion online. So to balance all those things, I'm not one of those people that makes a crazy list of 20 things to do in a day. It's just not possible. There's a balance of life, family, and work. And I choose, 3 to 5 things that need to get done. And I do not say yes to everything to everyone. We've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to be able to be productive and able to be successful.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny how you don't plan for things and they all ultimately lead to where it's a perfect place. So Amy, there's been a subtext through all of this of family and kids and managing business. Kome addresses a lot of that. And you guys have had a unique opportunity during this shelter order, but it was a pretty hard pivot from where you focused before. So how has that impacted the vision of what you had built, and where does that impact what comes next? Because I know you're elbows deep in that right now.
Yeah, just a little bit. So Kome was built with the intent of direct to consumer, getting parents the want tos back in life. So being able to go on date night, being able to go to a coffee shop and work solo by yourself for a little bit, being able to just have a little more freedom and have that guilt-free, and to build community with your friends. So when everything began with the pandemic, we actually came out with a pretty strong message of, we actually want you to stop using our service, because our business is built around bringing people together, but now everybody needs to be far apart. So it's very counterintuitive to come out and say, like, let's not sit swap. Let's not use it if you don't have to. But we did keep it open and keep it able to be used for any essential workers. We started talking to hospital organizations about sharing Kome with their network, like their employees, the essential workers that needed to get to work. And over the time, I would say we've almost swiveled a couple different times, turning it into a full pivot of switching from that consumer focused want tos over to the B2B have tos. And we have a couple really exciting pitches coming up, sales pitches, talking about Kome being used as an employee benefit, where you can swap childcare with your community, maybe even your colleagues, something that before COVID would have been uncomfortable because we had these really high personal boundaries with our coworkers. And with things like this, we see already those personal boundaries are coming down. We're all in our houses, and kids and pets could scream in at any minute. A lot of those barriers have been broken down. So now people are more willing to share with colleagues in order to maybe go into the office 2 days a week and work from home the other 2 days a week, hosting other kids, or being able to purchase credits on the app in order to participate without needing to pay top dollar for a sitter, just paying under market rate. So definitely, and these are all things, what's really neat about this is that it's all things we thought about and we thought we might have to wait 5 years to grow to. But because of the change of our culture right now, it opened the door for those conversations to happen much sooner, and to make Kome actually something that people need in their lives, not something that they would like in their lives.
So, I have to give hats off to all of you. If I had one, I'm tipping my hat. Every single one of you has taken this and done something very meaningful during this time, caring for other people, taking care of the community. And I think that there's a very important subtext here in terms of what that means as we move forward, how we deal with our customers, how we deal with our employees, what that means to re-enter and to meaningfully contribute, because we all are viewing things a little bit differently right now. I'm going to break this question into the people that may be more physically located for parts of their business. So Val and Waverly and Josh, as you re-engage or open the doors back up, what are you telling people? Not just the appreciation and the support of the first line responders, but what are you saying to your customers? How are you talking to them? How are you sharing their concerns, showing that they're heard, and just that general level of re-engagement? Waverly, I'll start with you, because I know that you probably had a line 6 feet apart, 6 feet please, right Val?
Right.
6 feet apart, but very long last week as people were desperate to get their hair cut. How are you managing that conversation and letting people know that they're heard?
Well, again, we've been very, very good at not just me. I'm only one person, and I got it's 11 of us all together. So I've been coaching my team at both locations. Make sure that you're keeping in contact with your personal clientele, just like we at the barbershop. If someone's in my chair, they might be having a conversation with the barber across from me. And so I talk to my barber's clients, and when you're in a fire, when you're going through a storm, it's always comforting to have someone by your side. So that communication throughout this process, and the fact that we offered the people that weren't working the free haircut when we were allowed to open back up, as well as the people that were working a free haircut once we opened back up. And I also let my team know that please be aware that once we open up, everybody's on edge. Now, subconsciously, when we go to a grocery store, we think the most important thing is getting food, right? Or you come to a barbershop, the most important thing is getting a haircut, but it's not. And I tell my team, the most important thing that these people want, they want to feel safe. And so I had my barbers, we all took, the liberty to take this barberside course. It's just a course on stuff we already knew, but we just wanted to get reacquainted with sanitizing and things of that nature, because I knew I've been fielding complaints from all over the state. From once we opened up, people complaining about barbershops not being safe, they're not practicing any social distancing. So I'm letting my team know that you are being watched. If you wash your hands, how you wash your hands, how you handle your client, if you're wearing your mask, all of that stuff. People want to feel safe because everybody's on edge. They want a haircut, but they want to feel safe more. They do not want to catch this virus. So just doing our best to let people know. I got signage up in big letters with our certifications that we took, and another personal agenda, that the personal steps that us as a barbershop has taken above and beyond the state mandated requirements. So, and it's been working out well. People have let me know that they appreciate the measures that we've taken, and they've been telling friends that this is a safe environment to go get your hair serviced at. So we appreciate it.
Josh, how about you guys from the restaurant perspective? Are you guys opening back up? Will you stick with takeout? Where are you at in the continuum?
So in the Subway business, Subway across the country, North America, they have really worked really hard to support us as franchisees, and we've stayed open in the store in Toledo that I have, and it's been carry out only online. That piece has been receptive pretty well. We're seeing traffic return 30 to 40% of pre-COVID. So sales are about halfway back to normal. Especially as the stay-at-homes continue to be uplifted. In the Sbarro pizzerias, those are up in the Detroit market, and unfortunately that is impacting my 72 people that I employ up there dramatically hard. That is not a good situation. I have stores in Troy, Dearborn, and 12 Oaks or Novi, so there are some great, some nice areas, but areas that are extremely affected, and they are affecting my team, so that is very difficult. Myself and my managers are constantly engaged in communication in the reopening plan for those restaurants. To Waverly's point, we will continue in all of our restaurants to make sure the consumer, our end user, feels safe. There's signage. Our employees, our frontline workers, employees that are in the front line, we appreciate the healthcare and the first responders, but our employees in the front lines that take care of us in banks, in salons, in gas stations, everywhere, that frontline employees, there's a whole new respect for people that take care of people in the service industry, I think. So, we're installing more sneeze guards. We're ensuring that our PPE is readily accessible, and then like any franchise or not, I pay a fee to be part of that business plan, so I may not be from startup scratch, a mom and pop, but that makes me no different than them when it comes to employment, hiring, all of that. I'm taking the risk every day, just like everybody else is, and I think as entrepreneurs, that's what we're bred for. That's what we're good at, taking risk and making a change on a dime, so
I want to hit you real quick with a follow-up question because we got a question from the audience, and I think it's really relevant to what you're talking about. The question specific to as you're reopening and communicating what you're doing, whether it's from the CDC or the state or what have you, how do you communicate that when you don't have email that's on these people? I think about what you have in like the walk-in traffic and stuff like that. How are you sharing broadly what you're doing and how you're staying safe?
Specific to the guidelines or specific to
To the
so that's
guidelines.
where entrepreneurs and business owners and managers, that's where things start to get crazy because you have federal, you have state, you have county, you have city, you may have township, you may have a strip mall you're in and the landlord has a different fee. You may share an office space with others and there be different. So that's where you really got to be constructive and really look out and take all those measures into consideration as an entrepreneur and know the minimum what you have to do to provide the safe and secure environment. Furthermore, making sure you're communicating that broadly through social media so customers and potential people out there can understand what your practices are. The other thing about social media, we were talking back here in Toledo with a lot of businesses about this is, understanding the ramifications of social media and the reputation management that needs to happen more so than ever before. People are going to take pictures if they're not happy that Heather is 5.5 feet in front of me and not 6, right? They're going to take pictures and make a big deal about that. We all have that happening in markets right now. So really being courteous and respectful and being on top of your game with your communication strategy online more than ever before, so you can continue to address those barriers or those challenges that a customer may have, because you've seen it all happen before with others. Don't let it happen with yourself. So I think really managing your response time to customer issues, especially if it gets out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter like that. So.
Hey Val, how about you? Are you you opening back up the shop? Where's your head at in terms of what comes next for Yellow Cake?
Sure, yeah. For us, we're really not focused on opening anytime soon because we don't really have the need to. Financially, we've been able to stay afloat and actually hit some crazy unexpected goals this year a lot sooner than normal because of the sheer volume that we're producing. So I think, for us, our biggest focus and mission is to keep our staff and our studio and ourselves as safe as possible so that we can keep making masks as long as they're needed and as long as we're able to produce them, and as long as we see that it's necessary and justifiable. But we have slowly been bringing clothing sales into the mix by offering our current inventory at a discounted rate, because we know that people are just barely starting to maybe consider actually wearing real clothes again or going back to the office. And until that's really in full force, we don't see that our current clientele will be needing to buy a lot at our regular retail prices. So because we have an overstock of inventory that we'd prepared back in January and February for all of our March, April, May, June, and July events that have now been canceled, we just figure it's better to move the product at a discounted rate than sit on it and let it collect dust. That way we're not having to do the extra work of making more product or manage crazy ads. But we are looking at potentially reopening in July. I know that 78th Street Studios decided to forego their Third Friday event this past May, and that's where our studio is located. They are looking to possibly hosting their first Third Friday of the year again in June, but it's not been confirmed. So for that event, we're looking into getting a digital kiosk that we can put in front of our studio. We'll leave the lights on, we'll have the doors locked, but the digital kiosk will be available for clients to view the products and purchase if they want, or they'll have our information to contact us directly. And I think that moving forward in July, we're hoping to still keep our studio closed, so to speak, but we do have a modular booth set up that one of our local creative friends made for us, and it's really beautiful. It's made of wood and lucite and concrete, and it even has a built-in fitting room. It's a 10 by 10 setup, and we're considering just putting that modular setup out in the main open spaces in front of our studio, and just having signage that details how to interact with the setup and how and when to touch, and then we'll have one person on hand for events as needed, and that will limit the contact that our clients will have with all of our inventory or our space. So our biggest mission is just to figure out ways that we can limit touching up the garments, even though it is a very touch-focused industry for us. you know, we're trying to figure out how we can kind of delay that as long as possible until it's absolutely necessary, because luxury clothing is just not super essential right now. And I think when the time does come, we're going to be as adamant as we possibly can with our clients to let them know that, you know, they need to follow the rules or they cannot shop with us. And I think it's simple as that for us. The health of myself and my team is not worth the risk of making one sale.
Amen. Sorry, contact quit Twitch here. So Amy and Gordon, you guys have experienced a little bit different shift on things than Josh and Val and Waverly, because you could be at a distance. Both your teams are distributed, they're used to working from home, but you've also seen demand just go absolutely through the roof, and maybe in some new and different markets. So Gordon, I would be really curious, how did you manage when things took off? You had to do juggling of seats, of roles, of fulfillment. You have software, you have hardware. How did you optimize for that? And how did you handle the demand that went from 0 to 120, not even 60?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting experience, but I'm really thankful that our team worked hard prior to improve in a number of areas. And we do have, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30% of our workforce that's remote, and folks that don't have to come into the office. We've always had a very flexible work from home policy, discretionary time policy. To be honest with you, we don't even track vacation, which is more of a problem. People probably working too much than not enough, but we can get into that another time. The thing that we found was, you know, this year we started actually doing whatever we could to improve the remote worker experience. For those that were permanent, they needed it desperately, because, you know, over the years they started, you know, burn out. And fortunately, the company was sensitive to that and reacted to that. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because now we're all, well, 90% of us are experiencing the remote worker experience. We still do have to send folks in, a handful of folks in to work in the office, and probably more than normal. The demand has, you know, for viewership has gone up like 20 times more than normal. And what makes that so stark is the fact that we do a lot of professional and college sports streaming. We have 8 Major League Soccer teams. We have hundreds of college NCAA schools that we do all of their graduations and sporting events, but none of those are happening right now. Yet we still saw a 20x increase in viewership from all of our other markets and municipalities and houses of worship and those types of things. So it's been a major adjustment. But I'll also say there's been a couple other things that made a big difference for us, and it's just clarifying the roles of whose job it is to do what in the company. And we had the framework in place to help us support and adapt to the change, because there are new things you can't anticipate. You can't anticipate having 20 times more viewership. It meant that we couldn't do as much product development. We had to focus on stability. It meant that a lot of our support team needed to have help, and so executives became support people, and salespeople became, you know, support people when necessary. So there's a little bit of flexibility to help us get through it. The only other thing I'd add is just the attention on culture of trying to hire the right people that are there for the right reasons, and they're inspired when other people work harder. You know, it's infectious, and I'm thankful for that. There's an interesting balance on personal versus work that's been hard for everybody. My wife's a small business owner too, and we have 3 young kids, and you can't have babysitters. You know, we weren't allowed to do anything for a long time, so some of it's a function of just enduring and trying to brace yourself for the next thing. But I can tell you the one thing that made the biggest difference was our focus of whenever we were enduring was on investing to be able to handle more capacity, because that's what we needed to do.
Mm-hmm. So Amy, it just seems, it's funny, good conversations feed the next question, right? You had a reporter reach out to you this week and ask you a question about the informing stats, what you're seeing, what trends, that sort of thing, and what Gordon shared about balancing and both working and what that looks like. There's been a lot of demand, which you talked about, and shifting from the nice to have to the need to have. But there was an aha moment in all this when you were looking at the need to haves. And what came out of that? Share a little bit about what you learned.
Yeah, so the reporter reached out looking for data on whether it's women or men joining our app right now. whether it, and it has that changed since before COVID. And honestly, when we look at our user base, we've always been collectively, it's a 93% of our user base is women, only 7% is men. And so there wasn't much to increase because it's already really high. It's already a problem that most of the time is being solved by women when it comes to childcare. But what I found so interesting is that I've talked to many senior executives of hospitals and universities, and not even just senior executives, just anyone participating in conversations, anyone copied on an email about how to bring COME to their workforce. 83% of the people that were part of the conversation are women. And so what I found so fascinating is that even at the corporate level, it's women trying to solve this problem and becoming aware. And it just really blew my mind. So that was my big aha moment, and just realizing that even at the corporate level, women are the caretakers and the ones trying to solve these problems that all employees are facing right now. And everyone here is saying it, is that, it's hard to do work and have your kids around full time as well. And so we're really passionate about solving that problem.
And I'm hoping everybody that's listening is picking up on a subtext here. Nobody came about these ahas, these how to treat employees, to find new markets, to understand opportunities in a vacuum. They came because people were listening. They were taking the feedback from their customers or their prospects. They were being aware of demands and what were coming and how to pivot. And that goes back to a lovely old saying, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Every single one of the entrepreneurs on this meeting today figured out a plan. They did a quick adjust and busted forward. And a big part of that is having your hands in and on the business, right? Knowing what's going on, how to prepare, how to move forward. So Waverly, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You spent a lot of time working on your business, and you talked about how you've helped other companies work on their business because they didn't know that. How critical is that for a small business owner when they weather times like this?
It's very critical. And to what Josh said a little while ago, again, I know some businesses that did not and will not survive because they didn't have a lot of their affairs in order. And so what I've been, the small businesses that I've been talking to, I've been kind of hyping up the importance of having more than one revenue stream. You kind of want to have your hands in a few different pots. And to be quite honest with you, Heather, I've learned a lot on a personal matter that I really didn't have enough other entities as far as revenue streams myself. I mean, I'm very fortunate I survived, but it was rough. So what I like to tell them to get involved with your industry, but get involved with other industries. Like, I'm just a barber, guys, and the fact that I'm here on this panel with some great other entrepreneurs that I know indirectly. I follow everybody on here, and I've known about you guys. It's how I always tell entrepreneurs how important it is to build relationships, networking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just grateful that JumpStart gave me this opportunity, and they always keep me in the loop and keep me around such great individuals like this. So I think the fact that my relationship has helped me weather this storm, me and my staff.
Val, so I'm getting gushy. It's been a long 10 weeks, and we've all worked through a lot of things. Val's been one of the highlights for me in the last couple of weeks. You guys see my 6 feet please thanks t-shirt that I bought from Yellow Cake Shop. What Val's wearing one of hers as well. I walked in the house and my 16-year-old stole this and walked away from me. But you've done something really interesting, and that not only did you bring some light and inspiration, but you did it in a way that still ties to your core mission and a lot of what you're thinking about, even though face masks and sweatshirts and t-shirts really weren't part of the roadmap for you. What's this mean going forward for you? How does this tie to the brand and what you're thinking and what comes next?
Well, I do think that we're really thinking long and hard about what products we want to keep in our core collection and what we might want to add to it. We'll definitely be making face masks as long as we're able to sell them and as long as people are buying them. And if it's something that we know is going to continue to prove lucrative and financially justifiable, we'll keep doing it. But we also have been thinking a little bit more about making more utility products and what will the consumer really need and want moving forward. We do know that women will come to a point where they're going to need to buy clothes for work again, and they're going to want to buy clothes for work again. They're going to want to shop. I would say a good portion of our retail and trade show events have been canceled, but starting in October, a lot of them are starting back up again. So we do know there's going to be a tiptoeing around retail events again and shopping in general. But I think for us, we're really looking at how can we incorporate mask wearing into what we're already making. So should we make a pocket inside of our trench coats that's closer to the chest that can be for your mask so you can have it on hand? Do we incorporate a pocket or a filter option into our scarves so that it can flip up already and you're already wearing a scarf, so you've got a built-in mask? So what can we do to our current existing products to improve them to suit the climate of today and what it looks like moving forward? And we're trying to do that incrementally and minimally because we don't want to invest too much time and effort or raw materials into these projects that they're not going to sell well or they're not marketable. But so far, we've been really lucky to be able to use social media to test these methods. We put up polls, we send out emails, we make a few samples, we take pre-orders, and then we can kind of, slowly and confidently, gauge interest and gauge whether or not we'll get an ROI on those products. So that's definitely a big part of what we're doing. But we're also really trying to incorporate more giving and more community-based connecting. So we started doing this project called our YC Cares Gift Away. And we've compiled a care package of essentials, but also some fun, just kind of pick-me-up options that we've found from local vendors and local makers. And we wanted to do this project to kind of really move two points forward. We wanted to support creative local businesses. So we're not asking these businesses to donate their product. We're buying product from these businesses to put in a basket to give away to someone. And then we're asking our community of followers and fans and clients to nominate someone that they think is really struggling or having a hard time in this pandemic. Are they quarantined alone? Did they lose a family member? Do they have COVID themselves? Are they a single parent? And we're asking for those nominations privately so that no one is outed or embarrassed. And then we donate the gift package, and it's got a grocery card in there. It's got Starbucks, it's got Chipotle, it's got handmade candles, it's got coffee, it's got donuts, it's got chocolate, it's got some of our face masks and t-shirt and hand sanitizer. And it's for us, it's just a small way to give back because we realize how fortunate we are to be financially stable in this time when so many other people are not. And so we feel it's our duty to bring back some of that to our business and really just hit it hard, So we're going to do it every week until we can't. And we've gotten such a huge outpouring that we're thinking of maybe even offering these gift packages for sale on our website for other people to buy for complete strangers if they want. And it's just another way for people to connect in ways that maybe they didn't realize they could.
Josh, that sounds an awful lot to me like listening to your customers. Like virtual high five out there.
Yeah.
As we move forward, and as we think more about as we open, as we engage, what Val outlined was not only listening to customer demand, but different business models, things like that. How would you encourage people to think about that, to start to test those conversations, knowing that I can't go knock on your door and say, hey, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee, which has been our norm. How do you approach that a little bit differently going forward? Because it's critical and it's got to be embedded in everything.
So I think what Val is doing and demonstrating that through her social media channels and through probably her texts and her phone calls is naturally what we should be doing every day, customer discovery. Customer discovery is part of the stage of the customer development. Another stage is customer validation. Customer validation helps you avoid building a product or service that no one wants. If you sit around Sunday dinner with a bunch of family and friends and say that's the best chocolate chip cookie recipe ever, you're going to take that as an assumption and then you're going to make a business out of that. But instead of that, you're not talking and getting out of your home or out of your comfort zone and talking to potential real customers that could really help you validate that. So naturally, your friends and family are going to think that's a great chocolate chip cookie. You know, Val, that's a beautiful sweatshirt you made. But 3 people might not think it's so beautiful. You know what I mean? So, you know, the other thing that is important for that is if you're not able to validate your knowledge, you're only pushing failure off into the future. So really making sure that you're going out. We had an accelerator. We're teaching this accelerator here at home using a platform called myro.com, where I can real time interact with all the entrepreneurs in a business model canvas and value prop canvas. You know, and yesterday, one of them who has an incredible business decided to come out of left field and create another food product outside of their traditional menu that we got set up, because they were just floundering, you know. And that's absolutely, because guess what? They had a family get together. It was the best tasting popcorn, and now we're out selling. What happened to our primary line of business? You know what I mean? So you've got to get out and validate your customers' need, especially in our world we live today. So they're pivoting, particularly in that business. They're going to pivot out of their catering business into more on demand with packaging online, you know, with third-party delivery or contactless delivery. So validation's key. You cannot sit around and trust others when you're the one taking the risk and spending the money, or spending an investor's money. You've really got to be out there canvassing the markets you want to be successful in, and understand you could have a lot of no's before you get a yes.
I hit mute because the dog's comforting and snoring in the background. I don't think you want to listen to her. One of the things that continuously sticks in my mind during all this is the fact that companies are born in economic downturns. If you go back and look, 50% of the S&P 500 came out of a bear market or a depression. Some of the biggest companies in the last 20 years came off of 2011 2001, 2008, things like that. If you were to meet somebody today and said, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about starting a company. They're crazy, they're confident, they're willing to go out there and take that risk. Amy, I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't warn you that this is coming. What issue would you love to see solved? What problem do you see lingering out there that you would absolutely love to see someone say, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to address that?
Well, you are putting me on the spot, and it's really hard for me to think past childcare. I think it's just so important. What issue? Maybe just safer ways to be out in public and to be out with friends. I can't begin to think how you solve that, but gosh, I just want to go sit and have dinner with a friend in a public place. Like, how can we do that in a safe way? And just thinking about people building things now is thinking, you've got to be thinking about what's going to be important in 12 to 18 months, because some of these new norms are going to stick. Some are going to be around. What's going to stick and what's temporary? Because if you're building something for something that's temporary, by the time you build it, it's not going to be needed anymore. So it's thinking about the 12 to 18 months. And I thought, I was really inspired the other day. I was driving down the street, and there's a local bar that I really like, and they have, you can serve yourself with like drink tab, like you just spouts. Why can't I think of the word? But anyways, they had a big sign up that said, we're reopened with touchless dispensers. And I was so moved by that, because I was like, wow, that business took the last 2 months to do something that's going to actually be really important forever, because people probably aren't going to be wanting to use, buffet lines are going to look different. Like, it's not going to be the same. And so I thought that was really innovative that they acted so quickly. And so I think anyone building a business now needs to think, what are going to be the things people care about in 12 months, not in 2 or 3. People who are working on businesses that already exist, we need to think what's happening right now, but something new, think about 12 months out.
So there's a level of innovation and what comes next, but there's a level of introspection, what I've learned. And Gordon, one of the things as we've talked, what's really impressed me about not only Boxcast, but you, is your awareness of the impact on the business, of the impact on yourself and on your family. I would love to know if you could start another company today, just, I have a great idea, I'm gonna bust ahead. What is the one thing that you might not have known when you started Boxcast that
Oh
you'll
my
carry
goodness.
forward now?
You know what? If I'd have known it would take, so first, there are no overnight successes. At least I've never met an entrepreneur that was an overnight success. It's a myth to think that you're just gonna wake up one day and then be super successful. I say that because I don't know if I would have had the patience to wait 6-7 years for it to kind of start to have legs. And that's where in my mind it's like, if I'm to encourage other entrepreneurs, it's like, if you have a conviction and your passion is to follow something, it's all about just fighting for lengthening that time window so that you can get an opportunity to see it take flight. Because it's hard to do and you can't do it alone. You need help from folks. That's why I love Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I love the community. I love the entrepreneurship community here because it makes it special that people know. I don't think I've ever had anybody say, no, I'm not willing to have a conversation with you. I'm not willing to help you. And what that means is you need to be super, super open-minded and to be not shy at all and willing to talk to as many people as possible. But hang on to your convictions and be honest with the feedback you're getting. Hang on to those convictions, because if you can fight for leaving the time window open long enough, then eventually, right, that perseverance is going to pay off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those of you that are still hanging out and watching, we're reaching the end of our session here today. I do want to thank everybody that's been with us over the last 10 weeks and 11 webinars. It's crazy to think that it's been that much. All the content's been recorded. It's available on jumpstartinc.org/COVID-19. All of the turnout, all the conversation has been fantastic, and we appreciate an opportunity to support all of you during this time. The series is ending, but doesn't mean we go away. So you'll see something coming out soon, I believe as early as June, around what comes next. So keep an eye on our social media channels, our newsletter for more webinars to come. I'm going to hit a round robin question to everybody as we close out, but I first want to say thank you to all of you. I had a conversation with a friend on Monday who reminded me about a very old saying of make sure that your cup is filled. And I am grateful to all of you for filling my cup today and to give me a little bit of hope and aspiration as we go through the week. So with that said, one parting thought from all of you as we wrap up this session. What is the one thing that you hope people walk away from, not just this session today, but the last 9 to 10 weeks? What do you hope that they've learned or they've heard from you that will make them better going forward? I'll start at the top of my batting order again. So Amy.
My number one thing is that when you're forced to change, to iterate, to flex, to swivel, to pivot, whatever you want to call it, when you're put in those situations, you can't just stand still. If Comay had said, no, we are only for the want tos and we are only consumer facing, we'd be dead in the water, and because no one's going to be using us for that for quite some time. But that when you're choosing to make those switches and you're saying, I'm not going to stand still, be willing to try and test things that aren't scalable. And that sounds counterintuitive when you're trying to build a scalable tech company like I am, but testing the things that aren't scalable, you can test very quickly. And then once you find the thing that works, then you solve the problem of scaling it. Because if I had tried, we've probably pivoted or swiveled like 5 times in the past 8 weeks. And if I had tried to make each of those scalable from the start, then we would have only been able to test one thing instead of testing 5 things. And we're finding our groove now because we were willing to do things that weren't scalable, knowing we can scale them next week or next month.
Josh, what's your one thing?
So I think the one thing that I would take away is keep hustling, never give up. Surround yourself with others of similar likeness. If you find yourself in a crowd of people that are not so into your conversations as an entrepreneur, move on. Entrepreneurs are the lifeline of American small business, and we're the ones that wake up every day and take the risk. And our families are the ones that sacrifice with us. So I think really honing in on, and I've been in a lot of entrepreneurial networks, you find some people just want to give up. And I would encourage everyone, do not give up. Keep doing customer validation, just like Val's doing online, and keep talking to customers, potential customers, keep validating products, new products, and do not give up.
Val,
Yeah, I would definitely echo a lot of what Josh said. I mean, we heard of a business in Nashville that we really respect who is a little bit older than us, and they got a PPE loan, and they had like 21 employees, and they decided not to make face masks because they just felt like they didn't really want to, and they didn't think it was the best fit for them, and they just felt like it wasn't fair to charge for face masks, and I was really surprised by that technique or that approach, because they ended up closing their business and said, we're just going to close our business because we just don't want to do these things. And I get that each business has their own decision to make, but for me, it kind of felt like, wow, like you're choosing to not provide income for your employees, to not give your business a fighting chance just because you don't want to do this one thing. And it just, to me, it seemed unnecessary. And I think, like Josh was saying, don't give up. I think if you're able-bodied and if you have a network of support or people that you can go to, just start or try anything. I had a friend in Minnesota who was really stressed about what to do, and she's also a clothing designer like myself. And I said, hey, try your hand at mask making. You really never know. And she is so glad that she did, because that's what's keeping her afloat right now. She was able to quit her waitressing job. She doesn't have to put herself at risk, and she can make masks for people that need them. So I would recommend that if you're thinking about starting something, try it. What do you really have to lose except for maybe some money and some time? And I also recommend that, customer service is key. Responding to people as soon as you can, as quickly as you can, with as much information as you can, is going to be a lot more beneficial to you than investing in paid ads or investing in more product. Like, just communicating with your clients is really important. And then just improving product. Whatever you can do to improve is just going to help. We started with basic face masks, just cotton muslin, and now we're making masks out of sequins and leopard lace and ventilators and all kinds, and our product diversity is just like through the roof now. So you really never know until you try.
Gordon.
I love hearing other entrepreneurs talk. I love it, and I agree with everything they're saying. You got to be nimble. You can't give up. I already had written down what I wanted to say, knowing that I'd be asked this question at the end, and mine was just don't go alone. I think a lot of people think that they have it all figured out. There is nobody that knows all the different things there are to making a business go. Nobody does. You need lots of different types of advisors or people that can help work with you. People volunteer their time or pay them to do this. You cannot go alone. So that's why your success rate will increase dramatically the more courage you have to reach out, to be humble, ask for help. People want to help humble people. And you need the help. You cannot do it alone. You're gonna be so much more successful if you're willing to just ask for help and listen to people's advice.
Amen. Waverly, bring us home.
Okay. This might sound counterproductive, but to all the entrepreneurs out there, what I want to encourage you to do is whatever it is that you do and that you're passionate about it, do it because you love to do it. Don't chase the dollar. The dollar will come. Like we all just collectively agreed, there is no overnight successes. It doesn't exist. Do it because you love to do it, and the passion will come through in the finished product. Go out there and meet all the people you can. I once went to an event, several events at JumpStart. One event was for lawyers. This event was for tech people. And the staff at JumpStart was like, hey, Wade, what are you doing here? This is, our event for lawyers. And I'm like, because they got hair, that's why I'm here, Then I popped up at the tech event. So if you're passionate about something, you need to go to the lowest peak and shout it out, and then go to the highest peak and shout it out, telling people this is what you do. Put yourself in those circles and just keep going. Don't stop. You're going to hear no, 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 but eventually you'll get to a yes. And that's all I want to leave you guys with.
So I want to thank all of you for being a model in an example of what doing good in a business looks like, taking care of your customers, taking care of your employees, showing what forward looks like, and how important it is to always be listening. I've gotten to participate in a number of these over the past 10 weeks. This is hands down my favorite. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with all of you, to learn and to listen. So I look forward to seeing what comes from all of you. Everybody that's watching, thank you for tuning in, and keep an eye out for what comes next. Take care, everybody.